I decided to start this TikTok over. I'm at the Access Center once again. It's been 4 weeks. You can take a look at my last TikTok. And if you also take a look, you can see what happened to me the other day. Um, had both needles pulled, arterial starts to bleed while you're holding direct pressure on both. And here I am at the Access Center. And I guess all you equally created healthcare providers would say it's my fault that I'm here. I guess you would say that I'm here because of my behaviors and not the fact that a nurse did something that protocol says, or the book's protocol policy somewhere says you're not supposed to do. My intake, I was thoroughly warned not to do that. And that was not to pull both needles at once at the end of treatment and to hold each site one at a time. And I've done that. Each time I've had needles pulled twice at the end of treatment, it was a mistake. That's what oops, kind of thing. It's no oops. Why are you doing something you're not supposed to be doing? I understand that you have patients that ask for it, but again, why are we doing things for patients that ask you to do something you're not supposed to do? I find that very odd. Number one, you shouldn't be doing it if you're not supposed to be doing it. Number two, you're just aiding and abetting the damage of an access, and that's okay with you. But I keep forgetting all of you healthcare providers are equally created. It's us patients that aren't created equal, which is the most bizarre thing ever. And it's kind of hard to process that it's always the patients that are the ones that are disruptive and abusive and all the things. It's never you all. You all follow protocol. You do what you're supposed to do. You're here to ensure that no additional harm is done to us and all the things. But here I am 4 weeks later. And a nurse would, honestly, let's be honest, we just had a stent 4 weeks ago, and that same nurse was involved with why that stent had to be placed. I literally said, you cannot do something that even the doctors and surgeons here would tell you can't do with her. And you do it anyway, just to see. Literally to see. And you say that. Let's just see. Well, you saw. And then what? Less than a week later, I had a stent put in. But again, we're supposed to be mild, meek, and humble while you guys tear up our access, doing things that we tell you shouldn't do. And I pretty much know I'm very involved in my care, so I know the do's and the don'ts for sure. And so do you all, as well as you all knowing the do's and the don'ts, but you still choose to do the don'ts just to see what happens. Well, this is what happens when you do the things you shouldn't do. Some of us actually, our body responds right away. And there's reason that my body's not used to that. Totally not used to you applying pressure to both sites at once. Why don't you equally created medical professionals do me a favor? And I'm not just asking for the ones that are just on TikTok claiming to be. Why don't you tell me why that's not a good idea? And why don't you tell me what happens when these mistakes occur or when you do things that you aren't supposed to do? And we can just leave it to this one limited situation. Since it's a real scenario, I'm asking a real question. You're quickly to chime on here and to say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm nuts, and you don't even know me off of a 10-minute or 10-second TikTok. Chime on now and give an honest opinion if you have one. Because there are some of us that suffer at your hand, that are humble, respectful, compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic. We are all the things that a lot of you claim to be, or you don't claim it. Your company says you are, which is weird because why should a company have to say, here it's such, such, and such? We're empathetic, sympathetic, compassionate, and respectful. can't that be implied? It's healthcare. But I learned the hard way. If they have to say it, that means they're not. None of them. Because you can't teach that. There's no ethics course that's going to teach you to be compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic, and respectful. You either are or you're not. And I've said before, those that are, those are the ones whose skill set are exceptional. You stand out. Those that are not, it's just just see and wait. So, the same way that you can chime in and not believe my truth, why don't you chime in on the ask and leave a comment on answering those 2 questions that I asked. And just like you all aren't created equal, we're not created equal. And I understand that. And I'm not defending any negative behavior or disruptive or abusive behavior. But I'm not speaking on that because that's not what's at hand. But what we have documentation of is the consequences of people not following protocol. But we don't have documentation of the other. We have false narrative, for sure. Proven false narrative at that. But when you abuse power, but again, God's in control. He sees everything. He knows everything. He created and designed it all. So I'm just in the kingdom, doing what I'm supposed to do, and making sure that I speak for those that won't. Because I'm going to tell you, this is a very I'm going to table what it is. I'm going to table it. But at the end of the day, I was here 4 weeks ago and I'm back. So, did disruptive, abusive behavior, what got me here? Oh, that's right. Not following protocol. You guys have a blessed day.